You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
You're listening to Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater, your Niagara source for all NCAA football news, weekly betting odds, game analysis, race for the college football playoffs, and reactions to the AP Top 25 rankings. Here are your hosts, Brandon Caputo and Trey Patterson.
Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another installment of Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your October 1st. Yes, we are now in October 2020 edition. Your source of North American sports coverage by sports fans, for sports fans, delivered to you right here in the good old Niagara region. Find us on social media for updates, giveaways, and sponsor promo code deals each month by following the podcast on Twitter at Armchair GM Pod, on Facebook by searching Armchair GM's Network, and on Instagram by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network. You can find us on our main platform, which is Spreaker.com, and the free Spreaker app by searching the Armchair GMs. As well, check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, CastBox, and Deezer by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network. And lastly, check out our beautiful user-friendly website, armchairgmsports.com, for all things regarding our network. You got articles, podcast episodes, sponsors, and contributors. Everything's on there, so please go and check that out. Wherever's most convenient for you to listen to us. We're on many different platforms for you. Please give us a like and smash that subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to us right now. As always, I'm one of your hosts of Straight to the Extra Point, Alma Mater, Cappy. You can follow me on Twitter at Capoots13 with a Canadian Z. And I'm always very pleased to be joined today on the college football portion of the network by my friend Trey Patterson, a contributing writer for the Fox Sports Knoxville covering the Tennessee Vols. You can follow him on Twitter at Trey Patterson. Trey, thanks a lot for coming back on the show today, and excited to talk some more college football.
Oh yeah, as always, it's great to be here. And we actually had some real college football this past week, and it was nice to get back to that normalcy in a way.
Absolutely, and we're going to get into that. A lot of shocking scores from last week. A lot of things that happened that we didn't expect to happen. So we're going to get into that. Recap last week's games for the Week 4 schedule. We're also going to discuss and react to the new AP Top 25 poll that has been released, and we're also obviously going to get Trey's picks for Week 5 with the spreads and the over/unders for most of the games that matter to you most out there. So with that being said, Trey, before we get into all that, we had some breaking news this week, and I'm going to play the intro breaking news for this. The last Power 5 conference to come back and say that they're playing college football this year, the Pac-12 is back, Trey.
Yeah, I guess it's better late than never in terms of the Pac-12. They're only playing 7 games, so it's not really a full season, but hey, it's football. Get some Pac-12 after dark eventually.
And we had discussed, obviously, when we were doing our season previews for the Power 5 conferences, we had discussed that the Big Ten and the Pac-12 had canceled their seasons pretty early on in the process, and now the Big Ten and the Pac-12 have kind of circled back around to that, and basically being forced to play their seasons now just for the fact that, maybe they jumped the gun on this a little bit before the other 3 conferences had decided that they were going to actually play this season. So, Trey, what are your thoughts on just the Big Ten and the Pac-12 circling back around after saying that they basically were getting scrutinized for not playing this season?
Yeah, I think you hit it pretty accurately there, saying that they decided to cancel early, hoping that the rest of the conferences would follow suit. And when that didn't happen, it put them in a tough situation. And now that they're able to see that the likes of the Big 12 and the SEC and ACC and even the American Athletic Conference are able to play logistically, and they have plans in place, there was no reason for them to keep their seasons canceled. All they were doing was losing money with every day there was no football.
Mm-hmm. So, talking about the Pac-12 again, Trey, it's not going to be a full schedule. What we were looking into as far as their return to play format, but like you mentioned, 7 to 8 games, and it looks like it's going to be played between November 6th and November 7th. Will be the targeted start date for the Pac-12. So, how do you think? I know we'll get into it when we get to the AP Top 25 poll, but just what do you think of the addition of the Pac-12 and the Big Ten will mean for the college football playoffs this year? And do you think that it's fair for these teams to be inserted into it, even though they've missed a few games and they won't be playing a full season? Or do you think that it's okay to kind of insert them into the fold here?
I think the elite teams deserve their spots, like the Oregons, and then of course the Ohio States from the Big Ten. Even though they haven't played yet, they're still, in my mind, and I'm sure in many people's minds, consensus top 25 teams. Now, I do think when it comes to playoffs, only playing 7 games could hurt them, whereas a 9-1 or 8-2 really good SEC team, I think, should have more of a right into the playoff than a 7-0 Pac-10 or Pac-12 team that didn't play anybody tough on their schedule the whole season. So even though these teams are eligible for postseason play and are in the polls right now, I think not playing for at least another month in terms of the Pac-12 will ultimately hurt them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that works out for the Pac-12, but they're back, and now we have all 5 Power 5 conferences playing this season. Trey, I know we've discussed in the past, leading up to the season, how unfortunate it was going to be for some of these student athletes that had an opportunity to make the NFL or be able to prove themselves to be able to be draft eligible for the NFL. Are you happy that all Power 5 conferences now are going to have that opportunity, and most importantly for the student athletes to have that opportunity as well?
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing in all of this, is that these athletes are actually going to get a chance to play and show the NFL GMs and the NFL scouts what they're really made of. I know on a previous podcast episode, we hit on one of the anonymous NFL GMs saying that he would be more inclined to draft somebody that played in college football the previous year, as opposed to somebody who either voluntarily sat out or didn't play due to the conference closing down. So I think it's good for the student athletes. They're going to be able to showcase their skills, which is always something that any football player that goes to college and that has aspirations of playing in the NFL, that's what you play college football for.
Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting to see and have those kids have that opportunity to showcase themselves and what they're able to do, because it just, we were talking earlier in the year, like if Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields are the 2 top quarterbacks, if Justin Fields wasn't going to play this year because he's a part of the Big Ten with Ohio State, where team's going to be more inclined to take Trevor Lawrence because he actually played this season over somebody like Justin Fields. I mean, I know that Trevor Lawrence is most likely going to be number 1, but just for comparison purposes, if there's 2 players that are basically neck and neck, but one of them didn't play last year and the one did, I mean, you're pretty much more inclined to take the guy that did play, are you not?
Oh, absolutely. And you could see it this year, maybe when the Big Ten does come back, and Justin Fields ends up having a Joe Burrow type season, where he's just incredible and clearly takes over that number 1 spot. But you're not going to know one way or the other if they don't have a season, so at least he gets that opportunity to prove himself. Absolutely.
So the Pac-12 is back, and all 5 Power 5 conferences are back, and we're going to get hopefully proper rankings for the AP Top 25, which we'll get into in our next segment, as well as going over how Trey did with his picks last week, and just a crazy week of football and some big upsets from last week. So we're gonna get into that right after our first commercial break. So we'll be right back here on Straight to the Extra Point, Alma Mater. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right here, back on the Armchair GM Sports Network.
Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, serving traditional-style Italian pizzas made with the freshest, top-quality ingredients. Loaded subs and their famous chicken wings. Winners of the Reader's Choice Diamond Award 4 years running from Niagara this week for Best Pizza and Wings in Niagara Falls. Home of the best tray and wing combo in town for the price and quality. Open daily from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Located on the corner of Drummond Road and Dunn Street. Available for call-ahead pickup or delivery at 905-374-4900. 4400. Make sure to like them on Facebook and view their website for their menu at carmine'spizzeria.ca. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano. Way too good. As we all adjust to this new world that we're living in today, masks are now mandatory, and Niagara's own Custom PPE is Canada's leading face mask provider. Visit them online at customppe.ca and choose between several mask options with different colors and sizes. Add your organization, company, or team logo so you make your face masks unique. Available to purchase online 24/7 at customppe.ca and shipped within 1 week. They have the best prices and quickest turnaround in Canada, and no order is too big or too small. Also offering custom floor stickers as well as face and counter shields for your business or workplace. Visit customppe.ca and use the code ARMCHAIR at checkout for 20% off your custom or blank face mask today. Custom PPE, Canada's leading face mask provider. Attention job seekers, if you are currently looking for work in the Niagara region, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road, Niagara Falls, directly across from the Camisos Plaza. Their free services include resume and cover letter writing, community resource and referral information, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, second career information and registration assistance, and all their services are currently provided by appointment only. So give them a call at 905-358-0021 or visit their website at ehc.on.ca, the Niagara Employment Help Center. This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network, the Niagara region's best local source for North American sports podcasting coverage. By sports fans, for sports fans.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Straight to the Extra Point, Alma Mater, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Cappy and Treigh back with you here. And this segment today is brought to you by Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, home of the best pizza and wing combos in Niagara Falls. Call today, 905-374-4400, or check out their website, carmine'spizzeria.ca. This month's promo code is going to be a new one, but for the sake of the show today, Armchair Bacon for 10% off your entire order when you call for call ahead pickup or delivery. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, way too good. So Treigh, let's take a look at last week's games for week 4, and wow, did we have some upsets here? And as far as your picks go, not the greatest. You as a perfectionist, I'm sure you wanted a lot better of a result. But I mean, it wasn't completely disastrous. And you had even told me off air that you had actually thought you did a lot worse than it ended up being. You went 7-11-1 with one push being on the Georgia game. So Treigh, what did you think of the 7-11-1 record from last week?
Not great, if I'm being honest. It's not my best week's work, but first week of the season in terms of a lot of the SEC teams and conference play. So you're still getting a feel for a lot of the teams and how they're going to play. I think now that I've gotten a chance to actually see a lot of these teams, the pick should get better moving forward.
Yeah, and I mean, again, a lot of those SEC teams, like you mentioned, were rusty, and a lot of them, straight up did not cover, so I can't really fault you for that. The teams just obviously, with the long break, they just weren't into it yet. You went 6-3 with the over-unders, though, so at least you did good in that regard for the games that you did pick over-unders.
Yeah, I salvaged myself a little bit there.
Yep, and your upset and your lock both did not come to fruition. But again, your lock was supposed to be Alabama, and who would have thought that Alabama wouldn't actually cover, so can't really fault you on that one. But going over some of these games here, Treigh, obviously we had a couple of big upsets. First off being the LSU defending national champion LSU Tigers, although it is a very different looking roster from last year, as a lot of those players from LSU are now playing in the NFL, so it's basically a turnover of half of a team there. So LSU loses to Mississippi State 44-34.
Yeah, that was a very interesting game. Mike Leach came over from the Pac-12. He was formerly at Washington State. Mike Leach comes in, takes over the Mississippi State program, institutes the new air raid offense. We've heard, at least down here in the South, we've heard constantly that air raid won't work against a modern SEC defense. SEC defenses are too fast. Air raid won't work. That's Pac-12 type of play. Well, he came in and ran the air raid, and not only did it work against the defending national champions, the quarterback, KJ Costello, for Mississippi State, set the SEC record, all-time record for passing yards in a game, throwing for over 600 yards.
Wow. So, yeah, LSU getting stunned by Mississippi State, and like you mentioned, Mike Leach making a good impression there and a good start to the season for Mississippi State, and LSU's got to regroup here very quickly if they want to be considered in this race once again this year as trying to defend their title. We'll have to wait and see. But the other huge upset was Kansas State upsetting the number 3 ranked at the time Oklahoma Sooners, who were favored by 28 points, Trey. That was obviously one of the games that you had picked, and I'm sure 99.9% of the league or fans out there would have said that Oklahoma would have covered the 28. But they straight up lost 38-35 to Kansas State. I was at work while you were giving me updates of this. I know you were able to catch the end of it. Just what were your thoughts on probably the biggest upset that we'll get in this whole season?
Yeah, in terms of like just the biggest upsets, I think this was the biggest one of the weekend over the LSU game. At least in that game, you had a new offense that you weren't prepared for in a way. It was, and the spread was not nearly as big in that game either. Oklahoma should have dominated Kansas State. Kansas State, this was a team that lost, was it UL Lafayette? In week 2, week 3, whatever week it was. And then they come out and they didn't look good in the first half. Oklahoma pretty much dominated the first half, but then it was the opposite. Come second half, Kansas State dominated, and Oklahoma just couldn't get anything together offensively. And to lose that game, it's not only a bad loss, but honestly, it should be embarrassing for Oklahoma and their fans. Yeah,
I mean, favored by 28 and you lose by 3 to a team like that. About Mississippi State, Trey, you actually did pick Mississippi State to cover that game. So the spread was 16.5 for LSU, not nearly as much as the Oklahoma spread was, 28 points. So if you're the Sooners, you got to be pretty upset with that, and they dropped big time in the AP poll, which we'll get into very shortly here. But with that loss, segueing in nicely here, Oklahoma opened the door for the Texas Longhorns to take over the Big 10, the Big 12. And, I was riding pretty high when I found out that Oklahoma lost. And then Texas's game started against Texas Tech. And, oh my goodness, the Texas Longhorns, they come away with a 63-56 overtime victory against Texas Tech, where they gave up 56 points to the unranked Red Raiders. Just a brutal performance. If it wasn't for them recovering an onside kick late in the game to set up the game-tying touchdown to bring it to overtime, this probably would have been one of the biggest choke jobs we've ever seen, as far as, your biggest competition losing to an unranked team. You're going in playing an unranked team with every opportunity to take over the Big 12 conference, and you almost straight up lost to to Texas Tech. Just, in my opinion, a brutal win here. Like, they come away with the win, but not a good look whatsoever for the Texas Longhorns, who were favored by 18 points against Texas Tech here.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best win you could say. A lot of times when you're looking at playoff predictions and what the playoff committee will do later in the season, it's not only did you win, but how did you win. But you still got to give credit to Texas. They were down by 2 scores late in that game, and they were able to come back, and they managed to find a way to win. And that's what good teams do. They find ways to win. Oklahoma had a chance to win their game still. They had 2 chances at the end of the game to drive down the field and score, and they didn't. So Texas did. Good teams find a way to win.
But I think the most concerning thing with that is giving up 56 points to Texas Tech like that. That just cannot happen. If you want to be a contender for the college football playoffs and you're giving up 56 points to a team like that, you got to be concerned if you're the Texas defense right now. Just you got to regroup pretty quickly, because you can't be giving up points like that to a team like that if you're going to be playing teams like the teams in the Big Ten or even in the SEC when it comes down to playoff time. That just won't happen.
No, I mean, you're right. The defense does have to sharpen up. You can't be allowing that many. You're not going to score 63 points every game, so the defense does have to get tighter. And I would imagine as the season progresses and teams get more playing time, that will happen.
Yeah, hopefully. So again, Texas come away with the win, but very bowling shoe ugly fashion. But at least Sam Ehlinger put up some good points to look good for his Heisman hopeful this year. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Trey, any other games you want to mention? Obviously Georgia, another big school there. They come away with the victory. It was a pretty boring game at one point. I think you texted me and said check the score of this Georgia and Arkansas game, and I believe it was like 7-2.
It was 7-5 at halftime.
That's brutal. Who if you were somebody who bet on the first half and were able to get that score right, you probably made lots of money, because 7-5, I mean, what kind of a score is that?
Yeah, Georgia looked pretty bad in the first half of that game. Not pretty bad. They looked really bad. And then they had to pull their starting quarterback, who was really their third string quarterback. So they had to pull him for a walk-on quarterback that was their fourth-string quarterback that just got put on scholarship, and he was able to get the offense moving a little bit. Good news for Georgia is that they did get JT Daniels medically cleared this week, so they will have their now second-string quarterback, originally second-string quarterback, eligible to play this weekend at Auburn. So that should help get that offense going a little bit.
And any other games you want to touch on, Trey, from this last week? Obviously, Alabama, they did not cover against Missouri, but they did win 38-19. Did you like what you saw from the Crimson Tide going down to Missouri and getting that win, or would you have liked them to at least cover that spread?
Well, Alabama played really good in the first half. They pretty much had the spread covered in the first half. Then the second half comes around, and I don't know what happened, because it's not like Alabama was playing backups. It was just like their starters just weren't playing as hard, I guess. I don't know. But Missouri was able to put up 19 points on them, which is something that you don't see an Alabama defense do too much. Now, obviously, I would have liked for them to cover the spread since I made them my lock. But it's Alabama. They got the win, and it's kind of funny when we're talking about a 38-19 win and we're saying what's wrong with Alabama. That's how good and dominant they've been over the past decade.
Yeah, and a very backdoor cover, to say the least, for your Tennessee Volunteers, Trey. They were favored by 3.5. They won by 4. So, I mean, they covered.
Yeah, I mean, they got the job done. It's that old saying in football: good teams win, great teams cover.
And are you ready to say on air that the Tennessee Vols are a great team at this point?
No, they're not.
Okay.
No, they aren't. They got to get the defense in shape. They were missing a few starters on the defense for the first game of the year due to COVID contact tracing rules. That'll be back this week. And they did just get Cade Mays cleared yesterday, so that 5-star offensive lineman that transferred from Georgia to Tennessee will be eligible to play against Missouri. So that'll be a nice boost to the offensive line. So I do think the team will be better, but I'm not ready to call them a great team.
And as for the rest of the ranked teams, number 8 Auburn took down number 23 Kentucky 29-13. You actually had Kentucky as the upset in that game. Just did not come to fruition. We had number 21 ranked Pitt took down number 24 Louisville 23-20, so a very close matchup there. Number 5 Florida put a whooping on Ole Miss 51-35, very high scoring game there. Number 13 ranked UCF won 51-28, sorry. And going down the rest of the list, Oklahoma State number 15 beat West Virginia 27-13. Cincinnati ranked number 14 took down Army 24-10. Miami, Florida number 12 won 52-10 over Florida State. Trey, I know you had picked Florida State to cover this game by 11, by the 11-point spread that it was given. Just that big rivalry just looks very one-sided right now.
Yeah, usually rivalry games are played close no matter the talent differential, but there's just something going on at Florida State. And that's just not it's not really a good program anymore. Well, I can't say it's not a good program. It's just it's not in a good place right now in terms of where their program is at. A lot of people here in Tennessee say that Tennessee has officially handed off that bad juju over to Florida State now, so they can take over the helms as the storied program that just sucks right now.
And the one game that I think we end off with here as far as talking about Week 4 is that Texas A&M avoids a very big scare here against Vanderbilt. Number 10 ranked Texas A&M only wins 17-12. They only win by 5 points over Vanderbilt. They were favored by 30.5 going into this game.
Yeah, this was even though Vanderbilt didn't win, this was probably one of the biggest shocks of the weekend just with how close it was. And I don't know whether this is a good sign for Vanderbilt, that Vanderbilt's just a good team, better than a lot of people thought they would be, or if this is bad news for A&M, and are they a lot worse than people thought they were going to be. But either way, close game. Don't think we'll see another 30-point spread with Texas A&M all year.
Yeah, just looking pretty bad there. But let's take a look at the AP Top 25 poll here, Trey. First time looking at this season. And this segment's brought to you by J&O Flooring, a Niagara-based specialty flooring and design company. Simplified processes and making homes beautiful is their specialty. 905-358-3299 or jnoflooring.com to start today. So looking at the AP Top 25 here, Trey, it's interesting. We have a couple of teams that haven't played being inserted in here, but let's go over the top 10 here. Clemson at number 1, Alabama at number 2, Florida at 3, Georgia at 4, Notre Dame at 5, Ohio State at 6, Auburn at 7, Miami, Florida at 8, Texas at 9, and Penn State at number 10. So you have 2 teams there that have not played a game yet, but have been inserted into the top 10 in Penn State and Ohio State.
Yeah, and I honestly think Ohio State's probably the number 1 team in the country when you're just looking at what they have on the field. I think they're the most talented team in the country. I think they're very well coached, and they have a top 2 quarterback, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, 1-2. But without playing a game, I don't think you can put them in the top 5. So I think 6 is a good spot for them. Now, Penn State, I think 10 might be a little too high for Penn State. But right now, it's just a ranking. AP poll honestly doesn't matter right now. It's just to put a number beside your name.
Okay, and what else surprises you on this list? Obviously, Oregon from the Pac-12 being inserted at 14 down there, and I'd have to say BYU at number 22. It's a pretty good showing for them, or even Pitt at number 24, starting off the season 3-0. Just what else surprises you down the list here?
Well, what surprises me is that LSU was ranked lower than Oklahoma. I think LSU lost to a really good team, whereas Oklahoma lost to a bad team. So if I was in charge of the rankings, I'd probably flip-flop those.
Yeah, so you have Oklahoma at 18, drops from number 3 to 18, and LSU drops from 6 to 20. So a couple of big drops there. LSU is just in front of your Tennessee Vols there, sitting at number 21, who fell 5 ranks from last week. Looking at it, the biggest jump, I think, is Miami, Florida, going from number 12 to number 8. So what do you think of Miami this year trying to insert themselves back into relevancy?
I think that's a good spot for them. They've proven so far that they're a good team. They've not only beaten every team that they've played so far this year, they've done it handedly. But in terms of the biggest mover, it's Mississippi State. They went from unranked to 16, which is a huge jump. But when you come out and embarrass the defending national champion, that should happen.
Do you like where Oregon is slotted in here? As we talked about in the first segment, Pac-12 just announced that they are starting to play again come November. Do you think it's fair to insert them already into number 14, considering they're not going to be playing any games, and 2, they haven't played any games yet?
It's tough. I do think Oregon is the best team out of the Pac-12. And if they were playing, I'd probably have them ranked higher. Now that they're not playing, I think 15, right around 15 is probably a good spot for them right now. But as the season goes on and other teams continue to play, and Oregon's just sitting there until their start date in November, you can expect them to continue to drop in the polls.
Okay, so that's basically it for the AP Top 25. Maybe we'll bring back Trey's Top 10 list where he gives his thoughts on what his ranking should be. The TP Top 25, I think we called it last year instead of the AP.
Right.
So the Trey Patterson Top 10. So we'll see if Trey's going to bring that back for this season. But with that being said, guys, we're going to take our last commercial break on the show today, and we're going to come back and we're going to get Trey's game picks and spreads for Week 5 in the NCAA. So we'll be right back here on Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater and right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network.
J&L Flooring is a Niagara-based specialty flooring and design company. They take great pride in providing elite customer service and support. They are a specialty flooring and decor boutique shop with a beautiful showroom, great pricing, and a wide variety and truly unique selection of products. All their products are environmentally friendly and responsibly produced, so you can feel great about your flooring choices. Their goal as a local business is to build authentic relationships based on honesty and integrity that they foster with respect and authenticity, offering unique and wide range of quality products presented by a knowledgeable and patient team. They connect with their customers to simplify the process to make their life easier and to make their homes beautiful. Visit them at 4424 Montrose Road, Niagara Falls, or find out more at jnlflooring.com. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. through 5 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. 905-358-3299 J&L Flooring.
The Spicy Olive Bar and Grill is located on the top of Clifton Hill and just a 5-minute walk from the majestic Niagara Falls. It is conveniently nestled in the heart of the tourist district. A family-owned and operated business, the Spicy Olive opened its doors in May of 2003 and has since been established as an authentic and unique Italian restaurant and bar. Its rustic ambiance and time-worn finishing provide a warm and inviting dining experience. Offering an array of delicious dishes, they specialize in authentic Italian cuisine, homemade sauces, fresh ingredients, and consistently providing a strong foundation on which they build their menu. As night falls, the Spicy Olive shifts to a lively lounge where drinks and live music come together to make a perfect evening. For more than 15 years, they have provided not only for their dedicated locals, but their customers from all over the world with authentic Italian food and great live entertainment. Open daily 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. for dinner and till 2 a.m. for drinks. Check out their new menu and book reservations on their website at Spicy Olive Bar and Grill, it's with an E at the end, .com, or call 905-371-2323 for reservations as well. The Spicy Olive Bar and Grill.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network, the Niagara region's best local source for North American sports podcasting coverage. By sports fans, for sports fans.
Alright guys, welcome back to the final segment of our Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater. Cappy and Treigh back with you here. And Treigh, it's about that time again. You ready to get your picks for Week 5?
Oh yeah, I'm ready to redeem myself.
Alright, so after his 7-11-1 record last week, shoutouts to 7-11. They're not a sponsor of us, but might as well mention that with your record. Let's get into the Week 5 picks here, Treigh, and this segment today is brought to you by the Spicy Olive Bar and Grill, family-owned and operated since 2003, serving authentic and unique Italian-style food, along with drinks and live music, making a great dining experience just off the historic Clifton Hill in Niagara Falls. This month's promo code is ArmchairPenne for 10% off your entire takeout order or when you dine in. 905-371-2323 or spicyolivebarandgrill.com to book your reservation today. So, Treigh, let's start off hot here with the Friday night game. BYU welcoming Louisiana Tech. BYU favored by 23.5, and I will mention that if we are going off, we are for the picks and the spreads, we do go off the score.com. They have yet to update the new AP Top 25 ranking, so if you go to the score.com and look at the Week 5, it's going to be a little bit skewed as far as the rankings, so just be wary of that. I'm not sure when they're going to update those, but those are not the updated AP Top 25 rankings. But with that being said, Treigh, BYU is ranked. They're playing Louisiana Tech, 23.5. Do you think that they cover?
Well, first off, I just want to say it's kind of sad we don't have UAB on the Thursday night this week. First week in 3 weeks that UAB is not playing on Thursday. But yeah, I do think BYU covers this game. I think BYU is a lot better than most people want to give them credit for. They've come out and dominated every game they've played so far, and I don't think Louisiana Tech will be able to keep up the physicality that BYU is going to bring. So give me BYU at 23.5.
Okay, and yeah, you bring up a good point about the Thursday Warriors UAB. Unfortunately, they are playing on Saturday this week, so maybe it's going to be maybe they'll lose this week because they're not accustomed to playing on Saturdays. They're the Thursday night guys, so we'll have to monitor their game as well. But going into Saturday, starting off hot here with the noon games, we got number 3 ranked Florida now. This list is gonna mess with me all show here, but number 3 ranked Florida Gators welcoming South Carolina, who just recently played your Tennessee Volunteers. Florida favored by 18 points. You think they cover?
Florida, their offense was electric week 1 against Ole Miss. Kyle Trask, I think he had 5 touchdown passes through for over 450 yards. Kyle Pitts, their tight end, who's going to be a first rounder, he'll probably be a first rounder as a tight end, had 4 touchdown catches in that game, which is incredible for a tight end to have 4 touchdown receptions. So I think Florida's offense is going to be electric in this game again. I think they're going to be able to score at will. The problem has been Florida's defense. And I think South Carolina, after a week of play, is going to be able to get their offense moving again. So I like South Carolina to cover the spread, but Florida wins the game.
Okay, so you're taking South Carolina at plus 18, but you think Florida wins the game. Moving on here, we've got, we got a good one here, Trey. Usually we try to save them for last, but can't do it this time. They got a 12 o'clock kickoff here, your Tennessee Volunteers, which is going to be 11 o'clock for you, where you live. So an early kickoff for you. And the Tennessee Vols favored by 11 points, welcoming Missouri. Tennessee is not ranked number 16. They are ranked number 21. Do you think your Volunteers cover against Missouri by 11?
Short answer, no, I don't. I think Missouri is a better team than the 11-point spread suggests. I do think Tennessee wins, but I could see this being a 10-point game. Give me Missouri at plus 11.
Okay, so Trey's going against his Tennessee Volunteers and going with Missouri to cover the spread in that one. Moving on here, we got TCU going to play my Texas Longhorns, and this game's actually going to be on TV for me up here, so I'll actually get to watch this game before I got to go to work, and I'm glad that it's a noon kickoff, so I'll be able to watch most of this game. Texas favored by 11.5, welcoming the Horned Frogs. And what do you got here? Do you think Texas redeems themselves against another unranked team here and actually covers?
TCU is one of the few teams, probably the only team in the Big 12 that is actually known for attempting to play defense to a degree. They're traditionally a good defensive school. When we were doing our conference predictions and previews earlier in the summer, when we were looking at some of the top players, they had 3 defensive players that were on that list. So I do think TCU's got a good defense, but I think this will be a redemption game for Texas. They want to prove that they are an elite team, and I think they come out and beat TCU by at least 14. So I'm taking Texas.
Okay, at 11.5, the Texas Longhorns. Going on to an unranked game here, probably one of the only unranked games we're going to be discussing this week. We have Baylor traveling to West Virginia, and they are favored by 3 points on the road. Trey, who do you like between the 2 unranked teams here, Baylor and West Virginia?
Oh, man, I don't really like either of them, if I'm being honest. But for the sake of picks, go ahead and give me Baylor at -3.
Okay, so Baylor favored by a field goal on the road. Trey likes it good enough, -3, Baylor. Moving on here to number 21 ranked Pitt, starting off 3-0 on this season, welcoming NC State. Pitt favored by 13.5. Do you like them to cover there?
I like this line at 13.5. If it were to move to 14, I'd probably stay away. But right now at 13.5, give me Pittsburgh.
Okay. And next shout out here to Custom PPE, Canada's leading face mask provider. Best prices and quickest turnaround in Canada as well. Built from right here in the Niagara region. Order today at customppe.ca and use the code armchair at checkout for 20% off your entire order. Again, customppe.ca. We've got, you know what? For the sake of the show, we're big UAB guys, so let's pick UAB welcoming UTSA, favored by 20 points. The Thursday Night Warriors. Do you like UAB here to cover this game?
I don't think I've missed on a UAB game yet, and I think I've taken UAB every time. UAB is 20-point favorite against UTSA. I think that's University of Texas at San Antonio. So yeah, give me the Blazers here, -20.
Beautiful. We're big UAB guys, especially their logo, basically the Seattle Dragons, but the defunct now XFL team. But moving on here, we got we're gonna skip over Army and Able Christian. We're going to go down to Texas Tech and Kansas State, 2 teams that had big weeks last week. Both of them almost upset the top 2 teams in the Big 12 in Texas and Oklahoma. So Kansas State favored by 2.5 points after their big win over Oklahoma. Do you like them to continue that momentum here against Texas Tech?
Now, normally after a big upset win, you expect to see a sort of a letdown game. Well, this could be a letdown game for both teams, considering what they did last week. But because of the matchups and what happened last week with both teams, I think I'm going to go ahead and take Kansas State here, just because on paper they're the better team.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a pretty low spread, 2.5. So I mean, all they have to do is win by a field goal. So it's you're not asking a lot here from this spread. So Trey's taking Kansas State at 2.5. Moving on here, we got number 17 ranked Memphis. Sorry, they're not ranked number 17 anymore. They are ranked number 25. So they dropped big time. They are going to SMU, and they are favored by 2.5. And the over-under in this game, by the way, 75 points.
Yeah, well, these teams are known for putting up points. That's why that's where it is. I like Memphis. I like SMU too. SMU is going to have a resurgence here in the next couple years. They got a really good quarterback coming in. I think next year, he's one of the top recruits in the country right now, and he chose SMU because that's currently where his brother's at. But for the sake of this season, I like Memphis at the 2.5, and I'm actually going to take the over at 75.
Okay, so you like Memphis to cover the 2.5, and you like the over on this this 75 points. All right, we'll have to see how that goes. Yeah, I just didn't expect a over-under like that. That's pretty crazy. Number 14 ranked Cincinnati welcoming South Florida, favored by 21.5.
Yeah, this is another game I'm not too sure about. I don't know a ton about South Florida. That's a pretty big spread. So for the sake of football, just being the sport it is, I'm going to go with South Florida. 21.5 is a hard cover.
Okay, and Cincinnati actually dropped down to 15 on the new AP poll, so they dropped one spot. So South Florida, Trey's taking them to cover. 21.5 points seems like a lot. We'll have to see how that works out. I keep going off the scores list here, and they're messing me up. Number 12 ranked North Carolina, traveling to Boston College. 13.5 point favorites on the road here. Do you like the Tar Heels to go in there and win by 2 touchdowns?
I do. The Tar Heels are a good team this year. They're only going to get better with the recruiting that their coach is doing down there. Yeah, give me the Tar Heels at minus 13.
Wow, are you sure we're not talking about the Tar Heels basketball program? Because we all know how good their basketball program is. But
no, those programs seem to be headed in opposite directions. If you look at last year's Carolina basketball team.
Yeah, history speaks for itself. But yeah, it seems like now the scales are kind of tipping in the other direction. So we'll have to see how much their basketball program can get back on track. And I mean, their football program's looking pretty good right now. So can't be too upset about that. Probably the best game of the week here. 2 ranked teams, an SEC matchup here. We have let me check it here. Number 2 ranked Alabama and number 13 ranked Texas A&M. I know A&M had a big letdown last week, only beating Vanderbilt by 5 points. A&M traveling to Alabama. Alabama's favored by 17.5. They didn't cover last week. Do you think the Crimson Tide get back on track, or do you think that this could be a very competitive game?
Well, after what we saw from Texas A&M, I'm not inspired by them whatsoever. And I think Alabama is kind of mad with the way that they finished last week. At least Nick Saban's going to be mad about it. So I like Alabama here at minus 17.5.
Okay, so probably the matchup that everybody is probably going to look at as far as 2 ranked teams playing each other, actually Auburn and Georgia as well we'll get into. But A&M and Alabama, so Trey's got Alabama covering by 18 points. It's a big ask, but again, A&M, if they looked anything like they did against Vanderbilt last week, you'd expect Alabama to come out here and win this game handily. The over-under is 52 points. Trey, do you like the over or the under there?
I'm going to take the over.
Okay, over on the 52 points for Alabama and Texas A&M. Moving on here, we have number 15 ranked Oklahoma State traveling to Kansas, favored by 21.5 points on the road.
Yeah, Kansas has looked abysmal this season. I thought that they were going to show some signs of life with Les Miles at the helm there, and they just haven't. They lost to Coastal Carolina and haven't been competitive really in any of their games. Go ahead and give me the Cowboys here, Oklahoma State at 21.5.
All right. Moving on, we've got number 20 ranked Virginia Tech traveling to Duke, favored by 11 points.
Yeah, I think this is another game that could be a sneaky good game. I'm still a little high on Duke, even though they haven't really shown it on the field yet. They do have themselves a pretty good quarterback. I'm gonna go ahead and take Duke here at plus 11.
Okay.
I do think Virginia Tech wins, but I think Duke can cover.
Duke covers the 11 points. Moving on, we have number 23 ranked Kentucky welcoming Ole Miss, favored by 6 points at home.
If we had a buzzer sound for the upset of the week, this is where you need to click it. I think Ole Miss wins this game.
Okay, so
not just covers. I think Ole Miss wins.
Wow, so you picked Kentucky to upset last week, and they didn't, so now you're picking the team that they play to upset them this week. I see how it works. But you're picking Ole Miss to not only cover the 6 points, but this is Trey's upset of the week, folks. Ole Miss over number 23. We're actually, they're not even ranked 23 anymore. Kentucky, they're actually not even ranked in general. So that's his upset, Ole Miss over Kentucky. Next, moving on the list here, there's a lot of pretty brutal games here. We're going to skip over Navy and Air Force. I don't know if you wanted to talk about that game. Pretty big as far as those two teams go, bragging rights. But if we just continue on down the list here, UCF number what are they ranked now? UCF, they are ranked. I don't even see them on here. Yeah,
they're on there. They're 11.
Oh, they're 11. Okay, there we are. UCF, number 11 ranked, welcoming Tulsa, favored by 22 points.
Yeah, right here, I'm all about UCF. I think they're a sneaky good team. They've covered every time so far this season, and when I was worried about them covering, I didn't think they were going to be able to cover against Georgia Tech. I think I did pick them last week to cover, but that was a pretty big spread. And 22 points, that's another big spread, but I still like them here. Give me UCF.
Okay, 22 points is a lot. It's pretty rich, but Trey's taking it. 22 points, UCF covers. We're going to skip the game of the week here, I think, till the end here. So we're going to go to Oklahoma trying to redeem themselves against Iowa State, favored by 7 points.
Yeah, I think most people here would be more inclined to lean towards Iowa State, but I do think Oklahoma bounces back. I don't think they're a bad team by any means. They just had a really bad loss. Spencer Rattler bounces back, has himself a game, and Oklahoma wins this by at least 10.
Okay, so the Sooners getting back on track here is Trey's prediction. Moving on, LSU, another team that needs to get back on track, but luckily they're playing Vanderbilt, and they're favored by 20.5 points on the road.
Well, I don't know how lucky they are playing Vanderbilt. Just ask Texas A&M.
That's true.
Now, LSU, I do think is a good team. I don't know. Are they a great team? No, I don't think they are anymore. But they still have some talent on that roster. The question now lies with Vanderbilt. How good are they actually? And was that week one a fluke? I'm more inclined to believe it was a fluke. Give me LSU at 20.5.
Okay, so still throwing shade on Vanderbilt. Not gonna even take them to cover a team that lost to a pretty bad team last week with 20.5 spread. Trey is taking LSU to cover against Vanderbilt. Moving on here, Niagara Employment Help Center helping job seekers find work with their free counseling services and professionals. 6100 Throwstone Road, Niagara Falls. Across from the Camisos Plaza. Book your appointment today, 905-358-0021 or ehc.on.ca. Second last game here, we got number 1 ranked Clemson welcoming Virginia, favored by 29 points.
Yeah, to me, this is going to be a blowout. Clemson was on a bye last week. They're going to come out refreshed. They're the consensus number 1 team in the country. Yeah, give me Clemson. I think they win by 40.
Okay, so Trey thinks they're going to win by 40. The spread right now is at 29 the day of recording this episode, so we'll have to see if they can continue on here and continue their number 1 rank going into next week. And lastly here, Trey, we're going to finish off with, looks like the game of the week here, number 4... Well, okay, hang on. Let me check the real rankings here. Number 4 ranked Georgia playing number 7 ranked Auburn. Georgia favored by 6.5 at home. Do you like this matchup? And would you say that this is probably the game that people are going to watch at 7:30 on Saturday?
Yeah, this is what's referred to down here as the Deep South's oldest rivalry, because this game goes back 100 years that they've been playing each other. This is going to be a competitive game. This is going to be a physical game and probably a chippy game. I like Georgia to win, but I think Auburn covers.
Okay, so you're taking Auburn at plus 6.5. What do you think? The over-under is set at 44.5. We know what Georgia's defense is all about. Do you think this goes over, or do you think it's under?
That's so low. I got to go over. I know Georgia's got a really good defense, but all it takes is a score to be like 27-21, somewhere around there, 24-21, and then you hit that over. So, yeah, give me the over.
Okay, but you think Georgia does win this game?
Yeah, I'm picking Georgia to win, but Auburn to cover.
Okay, so we got your upset of the week with Ole Miss. What's your lock of the week this week?
My lock of the week, I was actually going to tell you we didn't go over it. Mississippi State and Arkansas, because on the rankings they don't have the number beside Mississippi State, but Mississippi State is actually the 16th ranked team in the country right now.
Oh yeah, shoot.
They play at 6:30. They're 17-point favorites over Arkansas, and I like Mississippi State to win that by at least 21.
Okay, so you're high on Mississippi State after what they did last week. So Mississippi State over Arkansas, and you have them covering the 17.5, and that is your lock of the week, with Ole Miss being your upset of the week, Trey. So looking forward to week 5 here. A couple decent games here, but with the additions of the Big Ten and the Pac-12, I think as the season progresses here, Trey, we're going to get more quality football, hopefully.
Yeah, I agree with that. As these teams are able to get more time on the field, more reps, and get back into what they call football shape, I do think we're going to get better quality football that we're going to be able to that we're actually going to be able to enjoy. I would say it's not going to be the blowouts that once halftime hits, you're turning the game off.
Yeah, so hopefully the quality of play and the product goes up as these teams get more reps. Obviously, the SEC just started last week, so that's why a lot of those teams looked pretty shaky. But hopefully they get back on track here as the season progresses, and when these other conferences come in, hopefully it becomes much more competitive as well. But with that being said, Trey, any final remarks here before we wrap up for Week 5?
No, I mean, I'm just excited. It's like every weekend, it's a new week. When it comes to the games that are on, everybody is essentially 0-0, or their record is 0-0 coming into this week. Just win this week and you're good.
Mm-hmm. And maybe we'll see some upsets again like we had last week. But for the Oklahoma Sooners' sake, I hope they don't, because that would be pretty disastrous. But with that being said, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater, right here in the Armchair GM Sports Network. This has been your October 1st, 2020 edition, your source of North American sports coverage by sports fans, for sports fans, delivered to you right here in the Niagara region. As always, I'm one of your hosts of Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater, Cappy. You can follow me on Twitter at Capoots13 with a Canadian Z. As well, you can follow my co-host Trey at Trey Patterson. Again, he's a contributing writer for Fox Sports Knoxville, covering the Tennessee Vols. Trey, thanks again, and looking forward to talking to you again next week.
Oh yeah, I'll be here.
Yep, and we'll try to fit it in. A lot of draft stuff going on with the NHL next week, but we'll find a spot to fit in this show. And a big thank you to all of our great sponsors who help put us on and support the network, keep the show on the air. Make sure you're checking them out and telling them the Armchair GM sent you. Use those promo codes. Take advantage of that as well. And finally, to you viewers out there for tuning in and listening along for this episode. And once again, this is Straight to the Extra Point Alma Mater on the Armchair GM Sports Network, by sports fans, for sports fans. Enjoy Week 5. We'll see you guys next week.